So last time was a disaster. A miserable disgrace and a blot on my spotless record. However, today is different. Today, I have exactly what I've been looking for this whole time. I'm going to demonstrate it very shortly and explain how it works. So, here we are. We're going to go into Godot. There we go. We got our guy. We got our doctor here. I'm going to go in, and the doctor, he moves around and kills himself. Yep, that's exactly what I needed. Now, he moves around, right? I move around too. Then I get in, and now I move as him. Awesome. And I go into there, and now I move as me, and he goes back to moving as him. See that? See that? Look at that. I now have a possession system working fully as intended. There's slight things with the animations, but don't worry about that. Don't worry about that for now. We'll work out the kinks later. For now, let's just talk about how this is possible. First of all, initially I was having everybody have like a camera attached to them. Instead, now we have the camera separated, and we'll talk about why in a second. Second of all, initially we were going to have the possession system be based on a state machine. However, I found, a friend of mine named Moose, he showed me a way to avoid a state machine, which is ultimately performant as hell. So, let's get into it right now. So, first of all, here's the ego script. This is the player controller that we use instead of the initial one that was just attached to Rat. So, let's talk about the possession by itself, because that's really the most important thing, is talking about how the possession works. So first of all, we have a new class name. We have two actually. We have Ego and we have Vessel. So Vessel is everybody who can be possessed is a Vessel, and the current Vessel is in the Vessel class. Ego is the player controller script. That's the name of the class. So let's see. I don't need this anymore. Alright. Now, let's see. Funk ready. Game manager, vessel change connect. New vessel. Okay. Alright. Possess. So this is the possess function. The first thing it does is it calls distances as a dictionary. The dictionary has two categories, the float and the vessel. And for vacant vessel, in NPC container to get children, and vacant vessel is in here. Everybody's a vacant vessel in the NPC container. Var current distance, float equals current vessel dot global position, distance to vacant vessel global position. So this is current vessel in the distance to the distances to all the vacant vessels here, and distances cur vessel equals cur vessel. Alright. Okay, gonna ignore that for a second. Distances sort. So what it does is it takes all of the distances, right, and it puts them into the float here. And all of the vessels, they are in the vessel segment right here in the dictionary. And what sort does is it sorts them from least to most, right? And this prints it so I can check it. Game manager, vacant vessel. So 0 is the first in the array. We want to ignore 0, so we have vacant vessel equals 0. And then 1 is the second in the array, and that goes to the second one. And the reason why we do this is because 1 is the second in an array. An array always starts at 0. So if we want our new vessel to be the second closest, because the closest is yourself, that being 0, 0, then you have to move on to the second one. Now you can do it either this way, or you could do it by going in and having if vacant vessel equals current vessel continue, and what continue does is it passes over this script. So I'm actually going to turn this to 0. There we go. And this is the alternate way to do it. What we have is if you press ego, then it calls the possess function, and it also prints boo. I don't need it to print that anymore. Nor do I need this to print anymore. We got both of them. So then we go into the game manager. Game manager in question. The game manager has 2 signals. It has vessel change and vacate vessel. And what this means is what these vessels do, or what these do. These are signals. They are variables that do extra shit when they're called, or when the signal is emitted. So what we have here is current vessel. There's vessel. This sets the value, and when it's set, the current vessel is equal to the value, and the vessel change is emitted. And vacate vessel is the same with vacant vessel and vacate vessel. So when we go into the homunculus code, because I have homunculus as its own script and rat as its own script, what this does is it calls the it connects the 2 signals, right? And then what the signals do is based on a function of what they do. So if I emit the signal that says on vessel change, then I'll say on vessel change, then current vessel equals new vessel. And if I said vacate vessel and says on vessel vacated, current vessel equals vacant vessel. And then I have here if self is not, which exclamation point is opposite, equal to game manager current vessel, then I call the wander function. And if not, then pass, which means that the player controller has freedom to do whatever I want. And then move and slide is called here too, just so that way it works. So vessel is a custom class name for a character body 3D. So instead of character body 3D, it extends a vessel. Here's Rat. Rat just this is all Rat does. I haven't messed around with his code personally quite yet. But yeah, it's actually a lot simpler than I thought it was. Oh, the camera, right? The camera. So the camera has its own code. What the camera does is it connects via this, and then it just does all the stuff the camera did on the player, but on its own personal node, and on process it sets its global position to the global position of the current vessel. Okay. So now, because of all that, we have an NPC that walks around whenever he wants, and I can possess him, and he does this, and when I leave, he goes back to doing his normal shtick, walking around. And that's what I have for you today. As I said, I did it. It's there. And this is all thanks to Mustafa. He gave me all the instruction I needed and gave me a very solid understanding of what to do. Next up, what we're going to do is I'm going to finish the environment of the hospital, and I'm going to add some NPCs there, and then we're going to start working on the RPG mechanic, and that'll be next. So I'm assuming that the rest of the hospital might take a week or 2, and then the RPG mechanic will be after that, in which, well, we'll see if I get more interested in the RPG mechanic or the hospital in the moment. I'm sort of sporadic like that, so it'll depend on what interests me day by day. But until then, I'll see you Wednesday, and after that I'll see you Friday. Have a good one and enjoy the rest of your day.